I'll say this, if you're looking for a new JRPG that's very traditional, I think LEGRAND LEGACY is going to be something you're going to want to check out. I put about 10 hours into this game, and man, does it invoke a lot of great feelings from PS1 and PS2 RPGs. Let's start out with the intro of the game. Something that I really like that this game does well is that it hooks you right away. So you're introduced to your main character and he doesn't really know who he is or his past, which is very traditional for this type of game. And the game, you'll see that a lot in this game, is that it does have a lot of cliches from JRPGs, but they play them up and make them their own instead of just kind of feel like they're taking from things. Rather, they're inspired by things and making them their own thing. So the beginning of the game really starts out with this mystery, and what's nice here is it has a decent sense of place so that you can kind of understand what's going on, while at the same time you're wondering about how the world works, or what's going on with your main character, or what else is going on. I like that. And then the game quickly moves to its first dungeon. So it's smart in that aspect, in that it hooks you with the mystery, but then quickly gets you into the gameplay so that you can start seeing how the game really works all together. And the gameplay is really compelling. The gameplay is a turn-based system, and what's neat is it has a little bit of an active nature to it. If you've played anything like Lost Odyssey, this is going to be familiar to you. So in Lost Odyssey, you would have this circle and you would hold the trigger, and pretty much when you selected an enemy, you had to try and line up your circle with the circle of the enemy to do the most damage and have the highest amount of accuracy on your attack. The similar thing is done here in LEGRAND LEGACY, in that you choose to attack an enemy and then a button prompt will come up and you'll have to try and hit the correct button within the fielded range. So you'll either get a good rating or you get a perfect rating. And this happens for all your attacks. This is something that I like because it adds just a slight active nature to the combat. What is good is that this is not used for when you're trying to use any of your, say, dispel abilities or cure abilities or anything like that that helps out your team but doesn't attack the enemy. You don't have to worry about getting that button prompt down, you just have to select that option. Now, as you keep fighting enemies in the game, you'll gain loot, which you can then use to be able to craft items or sell stuff to then buy new items, and you'll get experience points. Every time you level up, you'll be able to apply some attribute points to your character. The game has this neat little aspect where it'll let you know if you have a certain amount of points in different slots, you'll be able to gain a new magic ability, and you'll know what that magic ability is so you can prioritize which ones you want to grab. I found myself getting rather addicted to the combat system just from the first dungeon. The game does a great job of invoking this nostalgia, but at the same time being a good game to play. There are two things to note in terms of the presentation of this game. All the backgrounds are these stylized, hand-drawn backgrounds, and they're gorgeous. They're awesome to look at, and it's always a pleasure to go to a new location and see what the artists are going to come up with next. I love these things because they give a great sense of place along with really selling that fantasy setting. And I understand that this was a Kickstarter setting, and I thought this was a great, unique way to be able to present a great style to your game. Because maybe they don't have the funds to be able to do something as high as, say, Final Fantasy 15, but when you go with a creativity style like this, you don't need that graphical power. You just need something unique, and here it is unique. Along with that, the soundtrack is awesome. There's plenty of memorable tracks in this game, including the main battle music. Many of the places that you go to will have some very memorable tracks, and stuff I'm going to want to listen to on my phone while I'm driving. So I've met many of the cast of characters in this game, and I have really enjoyed them. They have their own little personalities. Many of them do feel familiar as they are archetypes from this genre, but like I said before, they use this to their advantage and create a unique game to itself. One last thing I do want to note is how the boss fights were really tough and how the combat in general is decently hard. I thought that it had a good difficulty curve throughout most of my experience, and then when I hit the first boss fight, this is where it really spiked for me, but it didn't spike in a bad way, in which I found that new sense of challenge really great and rewarding because I did grind for a while, so I knew maybe I wasn't going to have as much of a challenge, but I did like that when I came across a boss, he really gave me a hard time, and I like that I lost the first time, so I really had to go back and rethink my strategies. Overall, I'm having a great time with this game. I feel like this is going to turn into a hidden gem for 2018. I don't feel like enough people are talking about this game, and they should, because it's extremely good, and I hope the rest of this game kind of keeps up the same awesomeness that the last 10 hours have had. So until then, I'm going to do my full review once I complete the game, but there's a lot of game here to get through, and I want to get through all of it to do this game justice. And I want to say thank you very much for watching. Let me know if you've played this game, and let's chat about it in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, see some of my other stuff, and I'll see you next time.